A lion born among hyenas never forgets the bite that taught him to roar. Welcome back, Ascenders. Today, we're breaking open a locked vault, the brutal origin story of Sigma males born into toxic families. We're not here to dwell on pain or wear trauma like a badge. We're here to examine the pressure cooker that forges lone wolves, the real ones. Toxic families don't just damage, they design. They build battlegrounds that turn silence into survival, rejection into resilience, and solitude into a superpower. Most people collapse under emotional chaos. Sigmas construct empires from it. You'll hear truths today that most channels won't touch. Not because they're taboo, but because they cut too deep. If you're a Sigma or rising to become one, this is your blueprint to understand why the worst place you came from might have been the best thing that ever happened to you. If that sounds like your kind of truth, subscribe to Sigma Ascends and take your place in the brotherhood that doesn't follow. We forge alone. 1. The Shadow Nursery, where control replaces care. In toxic homes, nurturing is swapped for control. Love is transactional, kindness is weaponized, and obedience is the unspoken law. The Sigma male, born into this atmosphere, doesn't submit, he observes. He notices the strings before they're tied around his neck. While siblings may adapt by pleasing, performing, or conforming, the Sigma learns a different lesson. Watch everything, trust nothing. The result? A hyper-aware, emotionally strategic mind. He recognizes manipulation tactics before most people even sense discomfort. Control breeds rebellion in his core, not loud adolescent rebellion, but quiet sovereignty. He doesn't fight for freedom, he builds it in silence. His independence isn't a choice. It's the only path that makes sense in a world where dependency equals danger. Emotional blackmail. He cuts it off before it starts. Conditional affection. He rejects it before it reaches him. The control that shaped his early years taught him how to become uncontrollable as a man. Most people raised under control become addicts for approval, but not the Sigma. He's the product of oppression who doesn't seek pity, he seeks autonomy. 2. Emotional Hunger Games, why Sigmas learn to starve. Quietly, toxic families are emotional desserts. Affection is rare, validation is rationed, attention is used like bait. In these arid landscapes, most kids either beg or break. But the Sigma, he starves and learns to digest silence. He stops expecting emotional nourishment early. Instead of chasing what's withheld, he builds a deeper relationship with himself. He becomes his own source of motivation, reflection, and comfort. Where others grow dependent on the highs of praise or approval, the Sigma masters the art of internal self-supply. He doesn't talk about feelings much, not because he lacks them, but because he's never had a safe container for them. This emotional starvation doesn't make him cold. It makes him measured, calculated, cautious about who he opens up to. He learns to protect his energy, ration his words, and withdraw rather than react. You won't see him in dramatic confrontations or emotional entanglements. Why? Because he's been through worse, and he did it alone. The hunger didn't kill him. It forged a man who feeds off purpose, silence, and momentum, not approval or applause. That's a rare breed, and it's why you'll never see him beg for love. He'll walk alone before accepting crumbs. 3. The identity hostage situation. Breaking the mold. They built in toxic families. Your role is assigned before your personality is understood. You might be the troublemaker, the fixer, the invisible one, but none of those titles reflect who you are. They reflect the family's dysfunction. The Sigma senses this early. He sees that who he really is doesn't fit the mold, and instead of twisting to fit it, he breaks it. This is where the Sigma journey begins, rejecting the script. He doesn't rebel to get attention, he rebels to protect his core, even if that means isolation, even if it means emotional exile. He'd rather be misunderstood than misrepresented. He knows the danger of identity theft, not the digital kind, but the psychological kind. The kind where people decide who you are before you even get a say. The Sigma doesn't just escape the house, he escapes the identity prison inside it. He builds himself from scratch, brick by brutal brick. Every belief is interrogated, every value is chosen. Every part of his identity is earned, not inherited. He doesn't become what they expect, he becomes what they fear, a man they can't define, control, or shame. 4. Selective mutism, the power of the unsaid. Some people talk to be heard. Sigmas stay silent to stay free. Growing up in toxic environments teaches the Sigma one key survival skill: discretion. Every word can be twisted, every opinion can be used against you. So he learns early, silence is armor, stillness is strategy. But this isn't cowardice, it's calibration. While others speak impulsively, the Sigma waits, watches and reads the room. His silence isn't passive, it's active. It allows him to map people's true intentions, to track contradictions, to find weak points in fake authority. In a world of noise, the Sigma's silence cuts louder. He doesn't explain himself, he doesn't overshare. And that mystery, it makes him dangerous, because people fear what they can't decode. This selective mutism carries over into adulthood. He speaks when it matters. He vanishes when it doesn't. And when he finally says something, it lands with weight. He's not interested in small talk. He's interested in strategic truth. If you're wondering why the Sigma male doesn't open up easily, it's not fear, it's filtration. He values his truth too much to give it away casually. Every word has a purpose. Every silence has a message. The mirror with cracks. Seeing yourself without their reflection. In most families, your first sense of self comes from how others see you. But in toxic families, the mirror is warped. You're either demonized, idealized, or ignored. None of those reflections are accurate, and the Sigma male knows it. He stops looking for clarity in cracked glass. He creates his own mirror. This is a turning point. He starts to rely on internal metrics instead of external opinions. He knows the way they see him isn't about who he is. It's about their unresolved pain. He stops trying to earn love that comes with conditions. He walks away from people who only see him as a version of their dysfunction. He doesn't seek validation. He seeks alignment. He studies himself with brutal honesty, what he fears, what he wants, what he refuses to become. That self-awareness becomes his compass. Not guilt, not shame, not obligation. This internal mirror reflects who he truly is, not who they say he should be. And that independence of thought, that's where real strength starts. Most people carry around family reflections for life, broken, distorted, dangerous. The Sigma breaks that pattern. He doesn't just leave the room, he smashes the mirror on the way out. That's how he becomes a man on his own terms. 6. Loyalty without leashes. When blood isn't bond. Toxic families preach loyalty, but what they mean is compliance. They expect obedience in exchange for belonging. But the Sigma male sees through that contract. He realizes blood doesn't mean bond, especially when it bleeds you dry. While others are shackled by guilt or family roles, the Sigma breaks free. He redefines loyalty as a choice, not a duty. He doesn't stay connected out of fear. He cuts ties when the connection is abusive, manipulative, or parasitic. This doesn't make him heartless, it makes him principled. His boundaries are steel. He knows who drains him, who uses him, who gaslights him. And he's not afraid to walk away, even if it's from his own bloodline. You'll hear it often. But it's your family. The Sigma replies, exactly why I won't let them destroy me. He doesn't hate them. He's just not owned by them. He's not interested in pretending everything is okay to keep the peace. He's interested in actual peace, even if it means standing alone. Loyalty for the Sigma is sacred, but it's earned, not inherited. He protects his circle like a fortress, and family doesn't get a free pass. 7. The lone blueprint, building when no one hands you. Tools. Most people are handed blueprints, guidance, support, even encouragement. But the Sigma male raised in a toxic home, he gets none of that. Just pressure, chaos, silence, no map, no tools, just instinct. But that's where his edge begins. He doesn't wait for a plan. He becomes the architect. He studies mistakes. He learns through failure. And most importantly, he builds without applause. While others crumble without help, the Sigma adapts. He watches. He mimics what works. He discards what doesn't. No one shows him the way, so he makes his own path through trial and fire. This self-reliance isn't romantic. It's hard, it's lonely, but it breeds something rare. A man who doesn't fold under pressure. A man who doesn't panic when things fall apart, because things have always been unstable. He doesn't fear the unknown. He's raised in it. And that's why he walks into uncertainty with strategy, not anxiety. His success isn't built on luck. It's built on scars, repetition, and relentless self-education. He isn't trying to prove anyone wrong. He's trying to prove to himself that he can break the cycle and build something clean. 8. Emotional alchemy, turning rejection into refinement. Toxic families make rejection feel like a curse. But the Sigma male, he makes it his fuel. Every put-down becomes motivation. Every dismissal becomes data. He doesn't absorb rejection. He transforms it. Instead of craving acceptance, he dissects the wound. Why did it happen? Who did it come from? What pattern does it reveal? He uses pain as feedback, not fate. That rejection becomes his edge. He stops needing the people who once made him feel unworthy. He starts valuing himself for what he endures and refines, not what others think he deserves. You'll notice a theme here: detachment, but not apathy. He still feels deeply, but he's selective about where he invests. Emotional energy is precious, and he refuses to waste it on people who only show up to take. This emotional alchemy is why the Sigma seems calm under pressure. He's not immune to pain. He's just metabolized more of it than most ever will. That gives him clarity, control, and depth that can't be taught in books. He doesn't just survive rejection. He rises sharper because of it. The unspoken contract: you will never be understood. And that's power. From an early age, the Sigma male realizes something most people spend decades avoiding. You won't be understood by those who benefit from your silence. Toxic families rarely seek to understand. They seek to label, dismiss, or control. At first, this can feel like a curse, feeling invisible, misinterpreted, alien. But over time, the Sigma discovers that this outsider status is actually a superpower. It grants him freedom. Freedom to act without expectation. Freedom to grow without explanation. Freedom to live outside their programming. He stops trying to be relatable. He becomes unavailable to superficial validation. And in that detachment, he finds clarity. He no longer needs to be seen, heard, or applauded. He becomes content with being true, not approved. This unspoken contract of being misunderstood is one the Sigma signs with awareness, because he knows to be truly understood, he'd have to shrink, conform, abandon himself. And that's a deal he'll never make. Others may crave belonging. The Sigma craves authenticity. And if that authenticity means walking alone, so be it. He's more at peace in solitude than in spaces that misunderstand his silence. 10th generational grenades, dodging legacies meant to explode you. Toxic families pass down emotional landmines, abuse patterns, guilt rituals, financial traps, emotional codependency. These are the generational grenades. Most people step on them without knowing. The Sigma, he sees the pin before it pops. He studies his lineage like a battlefield. Who gave up on themselves? Who lived a life of resentment? Who silenced their dreams to stay in the family? The Sigma observes all of it and says, "This ends with me." He doesn't just distance himself, he deprograms himself. He interrogates every belief he was handed. He challenges the assumptions he grew up with. And most importantly, he doesn't confuse inheritance with identity. Where others repeat, he rewires. That's what makes the Sigma rare. He doesn't just walk away. He refuses to carry the torch of dysfunction. He's not a continuation of a broken legacy. He's a rupture in the family pattern, a glitch in the script. And the cost? High. He may face exile, guilt, blame, but it's worth it for peace, clarity, and self-ownership. He won't pass down the pain that tried to make a home in him. He ends the war by refusing to wear the uniform. 11. The Wolf's Prayer. I don't need a pack to be whole. The final lesson from a toxic family. You don't need a pack to survive. The Sigma isn't anti-connection. He's just anti-dependence. His strength doesn't come from followers, family ties, or applause. It comes from self-sufficiency. Raised in dysfunction, he realizes early no one's coming to save him. So he builds his own ladder. He doesn't cry for help. He becomes the help. This gives him unmatched resilience. He doesn't need validation to act. He doesn't wait for approval to move. His compass isn't external, it's internal. He chooses silence over noise, solitude over fake support, and clarity over consensus. To the outside world, this can look cold, but in truth, it's liberating. He's not lonely, he's intentional. He walks light because he carries no emotional debt. And when he does bond, it's rare, sacred, and real. The Wolf's Prayer isn't about being alone forever. It's about being complete without a crowd. No pack, no leash, just purpose and presence. The Sigma doesn't need the world's permission to rise. He was forged to ascend without applause. So, ascenders, what does it mean to be born into a toxic family as a Sigma male? It means you were forged where others folded. It means the same fire that tried to consume you made you immune to smallness. You weren't broken, you were sharpened. The emotional starvation, it gave you inner discipline. The identity erasure, it forced you to define yourself. The rejection, it gave you freedom. Toxicity didn't defeat you. It taught you how to rise with nothing and build everything. That's the Sigma's origin story. Brutal, brilliant, and absolutely unstoppable. So if you've walked through that fire, don't hide it. Own it. Your silence is power, your solitude is sanctuary, and your scars. Those are the stripes of a man who builds his own ascent. If this hit you where the truth lives, subscribe to Sigma Ascends and stand with those who don't follow noise. We follow clarity. Until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and never trade your peace for proximity.